Hello, welcome to another Album of Record podcast. I've got the deep voice from being sick, which Andrew and I think we both got sick at the Deftones show because there was somebody hacking up a lung sitting next to us. How's it going, Andrew?
It's going pretty good, all things considered. Yes, I got the post-concert malaise as well. The individual sitting next to me was coughing like crazy prior to the show, and so I had a bad feeling because where our seats were when we were looking at the stage for Deftones, they were right behind me, literally coughing onto both of us. So
I think the phrase would be breathing down your neck.
quite literally. But I am also on vacation from work. This is my first vacation of the year, and I'm at home. I'm doing the whole staycation thing, and I'm enjoying the hell out of it. I chose not to go anywhere. I just wanted time off to do nothing. I just told Craig prior to recording, I've had my phone on silent, been staying away from work emails and all that good stuff. Just trying to enjoy my week.
Freaking in your gaming PC.
Oh, that I am. Borderlands 4 is out. Enjoying the hell out of that game, that's for sure.
Is that the kind of game you can listen to music while you're playing or no?
You absolutely can, but not. I never do my first couple playthroughs because the music's always really good in Borderlands games. So I like to take in the natural music of the game, but then once you kind of get used to it, that's when I turn that music down, load up Spotify, and just listen to music. And yeah, it's actually the perfect game for that. I've always listened to a lot of music while playing Borderlands games because like a lot of the game is just looting. So you're just going on these farming runs, whether it's killing the same boss over and over again or clearing an area. And so it's just perfect to just put music on and just mindlessly slay stuff on the video games and get your loot. And it's really like the perfect game for music. So
yeah, my kids now call that grinding. You know,
it is grinding. Yep, it definitely do a lot of grinding in Borderlands games. If you don't like grinding, Borderlands is probably not going to be a game you'll enjoy other than maybe an initial playthrough, but you're not going to keep playing it past that.
Yeah, I was a big fan of the Diablo series back when I was in the end of my college years. Diablo 2 was very much like that. I felt probably not to the level of games today, but it was the beginning of that kind of fun.
I mean, yeah, like so when Borderlands came out, it was pitched as the concept was, what if we took Call of Duty and mashed it with Diablo?
Oh.
So you take the Diablo systems of, looting and the skill trees and all that, but you do it in a first-person shooter game, and it's incredible. And so they did 3 full versions of that game, a couple spin-off games, but now Borderlands 4, they okay, we've got that concept down, we've nailed that. What if we take what we've been doing really well and we mesh it with Zelda Breath of the Wild? And that's what Borderlands 4 is. It is a open world game. You can literally go at the game any way you want to. You can go around the map whatever direction you want, take on bosses whichever order you want to take them on. You don't even have to interact with the story if you don't want to. You can just wander around the world and explore and find collectibles and all that stuff.
The Wild is like GTA for kids.
Yeah, exactly. So no, it's I'm enjoying the hell out of Borderlands 4. If for anybody that's a gamer out there, I can very highly recommend this game if your system can run it, because performance is not great for a lot of people. People getting a lot of crashes. You got to use frame gen and DLSS and all that good stuff to really get the most out of this game, apparently, for most people, or unless you're a loser like me and you buy a ridiculous gaming PC just so you can play it on all the default best settings, and you're like, why is everybody complaining about performance? It plays fine.
Life's full of choices, and
yeah, that was a choice.
Yeah. All right. So we are going to talk about the actual Deftones show. The last time you heard from us, we were podcasting in person right before we headed down to Cleveland to see Deftones. But I guess we should probably start with the opener, the second opener. We missed the first opener. You and I were not particularly looking forward to seeing Idles, and then we were pleasantly surprised.
Idles is a band that I've always wanted to like. There's something about them that I've always wanted to like.
There's a coolness factor to them.
Yeah, and I would listen to the albums and there would be bits and pieces that I would really like, but like they wouldn't really grab me for an entire album. And I think that this is one of the few bands that I also allowed critics to sway my opinion on, because critics love to make fun of Idols. Like, critics think Idols are like the worst band in the world. Like, or like, for whatever reason, a lot of critics that I really respect despise Idols. And I think I let that sort of, it seeps in a little bit sometimes. And if it's a band that you don't feel like, there's plenty of bands that I feel so like just inherently connected to that I could care less what a critic says about them. I'm still gonna love them. But if it's a band that you're kind of on the fence on, and everybody's telling you like, oh, these guys are actually really lame and they're cringe, and you shouldn't take them seriously, I think it can seep in a little bit. So I kind of went into the show feeling that way. And the funny thing is I told you this afterwards. As the band came out, I thought it was the first opener because I don't know what Idols look like. So so they come out, and I'm amazed at how loud the reception was from the crowd. I'm like, wow, these guys really like this opening band. Okay, well, we'll see.
Too, by the way.
Yeah. And so then they start playing the opening song, which was Colossus, and I'm listening to this. I'm like, God, these guys really sound like Idols. Like, man, I guess Deftones really have a type that they were going for on this for their openers here. And it literally wasn't until probably the second or third song that I realized, like, wait a second, I know these songs. Like, this is Idols. So that was kind of funny. But I gotta say, I was blown away. I could not have been more impressed with them as a live band. The swagger and attitude of the vocalist was incredible. I mean, he drew me in completely with his performance. I thought he was great. The rhythm section of the band, which I'm sure you're going to want to talk about, was just insanity. Like, on some of these like longer grooves that they had in these songs was just incredible. They had great showmanship. They commanded the stage. They sounded great. They were perfectly tight as a band. I mean, just everything you'd want in an opening band. They were excellent. It was one of those ones where they kind of played the perfect length set too. Like, it was kind of like they didn't overstay their welcome, but I wasn't. I was perfectly satisfied and content with what I got from Idols.
Yeah. To your point, their drummer is absolutely killer. Lots of style, occasional aggressiveness, serves the song, and just was rock solid the entire time. Very good. And I guess I didn't know Idols very well heading into the show, so I tried to do a bunch of homework and listen to them, and I didn't really enjoy their recordings. Live, they were so much more raw and punk rock and kind of screamy, where I feel like there's a sheen, a very clean vibe to the recordings, which I think actually doesn't do the material justice the way their live show did.
I'm wondering if that's part of what critics take exception to. Idols have been around. I'm sure plenty of critics have seen them live and know what they're capable of sounding like. And I wonder if that's part of what they take exception to, is that, they could, it's always like, it's hard as a fan. You can't like be like, well, this is what you guys should do with your band, right? Like, it's not my place. It's
doing
but
it.
yeah. But I will say, like, I think they would do well to let a little bit more raw energy onto the album and a little bit less production. I think the sheen you mentioned, I think that's a good word for it. It has like a certain like that like LA pop rock kind of feel to it. Like they're chasing like I always say like chasing like the MTV's. What do you call it? Like, like on like oh man, I'm drawing a complete blank here on when MTV had the show with the girls who were doing fashion, Lauren Conrad, The Hills. Like, so they would always like feature bands in like the transitions from one scene, like, one scene to another.
I was hoping you were going to bring up The Grind with Eric Nies, but I guess
No, my reference point is The Hills, because I actually did watch a surprising amount of that show when it was on for some reason. But like, so like there would always be like the trendy like LA type bands would get those like transition spots. Like, it sort of feels sometimes like that's kind of what Idols was going for on some of these records. Now, having gone back and listened a little bit afterwards, I will say some of their earlier albums do still have a little bit more of that rawness to them. It's really more of the last 2 or 3 albums, I think, that have maybe had a little bit more production quality to it. And, look, it's their music. They make what they want. They clearly are doing fine. They sell plenty of albums. They have plenty of fans, like we both alluded to. Their fans showed up for them. There was a loud reception for them at that show, and so they're doing fine. But if they wanted to keep fans like Craig and myself, I think we want a little bit more of that rawness. And it's not lost on me. Like, this is something like we've talked about plenty on this podcast and plenty in our personal life. Like, Foxing was always like the band that we cited as an example of a band that didn't quite capture that same energy on their albums that they have live. And it wasn't until like this most recent album, I think the self-titled album definitely captured that. It's not a unique thing to Idols. Like, it can be hard to do that, to capture when you're such a great live band. Not everybody can capture that in the studio, and it is what it is.
All right, so let's talk about Deftones, and I guess I would probably like to start with what they didn't play. It was a great show. I enjoyed it a lot, but you and I, without going negative, I think the one thing that you and I noticed was that they didn't play anything from their 2003 eponymous record, Deftones, which I was a little bit surprised there wasn't at least one nod to it, but I don't know, maybe we should talk about that first.
I believe that's no, Gore also didn't have any representation. Self-titled and Gore were the only 2 albums that had no songs.
Which is impressive, by the way.
It is impressive. And you also kind of understand Gore a little bit more than you do. Gore was not, Prayers and Triangles, like it was a good song. Like, there's a couple other like good songs on that album, but I don't think that's one that is quite as beloved by a lot of Deftones fans. Whereas like the self-titled is like a heavily revered album by a lot of Deftones fans, myself included. It's my favorite Deftones album. So for me, it was quite a disappointment. And you would have just thought like Minerva would have fit perfectly fine into this set with the stuff that they were playing. But
I actually have a spot where they could have played that instead of something else. But
yeah,
we'll talk about that. I think we should get the entire set list, because
the set list was wild.
They opened with Be Quiet and Drive. It's just, I mean, set the arena absolutely on fire.
Yeah. I sort of wish I hadn't looked at the set list to know that was coming, because that would have been really fun to just be surprised by it. But that right into My Own Summer was just an insane start to the show. And it just perfectly set the tone for what kind of show they do today. Like, it was they masterfully play to the different eras of fans that they have. Like, there was plenty of fan service for whatever type of Deftones music you like. And I think that's impressive. And it was mostly hits and songs you would know, not a lot of deep cuts on it. And yeah, it was just, to start with Be Quiet and Drive was just the coolest freaking thing. It was so good.
Yeah, and then obviously going into My Own Summer, and just to think about how old those songs are and how they still do them justice. So many bands, when they play their older material, it's like some fraction of what the song used to be. Even a couple weeks ago when I saw Chevelle, and the version of The Red that they play today is great, and the fans enjoy singing along, but it's just Joe and a guitar. The rest of the band doesn't really come in until the very end, and so they don't play it the same way. And it's good. They do a really good job of it, but a lot of bands do that, where they, the oldest songs, they kind of just totally change them up. And whether it was these from Around the Fur, or we'll talk about the Adrenaline ones too, they actually really do them justice to the way that you and I remember them. So, but after that, they went to the new record. They play My Mind is a Mountain, which, were you shocked by how well it went over?
I don't know if I was shocked, because I've just been really high on this album.
Well, I guess I was happy, but you never quite know what you're going to get with the new material, and nobody was going
for sure. No, people were into the new songs without a doubt, which was great to see that, like you kind of run out of superlatives and words to describe how insane it is that Deftones are still putting out albums this relevant to their career and to themselves. Like it's not lost on me that when we talk about Pearl Jam, we have to grade so many things they do on a certain scale. And we don't really have to do that with Deftones. Like to a degree, like I think for both you and I think Gore and Ohms probably are fairly low on our rankings of albums. So maybe there was like a little bit of a drop in that, you know, sequence of albums where maybe they weren't quite putting out as strong albums. But then again, we both really loved Ohms
Yeah.
in its moment too, though.
And
So,
also, as
but yeah,
a fan, I completely fell off with Deftones after 2003 Deftones. And so I only kind of went back in the last 6 or 7 years and really caught up. I mean, I know I listened to all those records when they came out,
yeah,
but I didn't dive into them
okay,
more recently. So I'm kind of a
yeah,
more recent fan of Koyo no Kan and Yokan and
yeah.
all those other ones.
Yeah. Diamond Eyes, man, that one I was in love with that album.
Speaking,
But yeah, but I do want to just say though, like going back to my point, like with Pearl Jam though, like we were like when Dark Matter came out, we were both just so I don't know what the right word is, maybe relieved almost. I don't know, like overjoyed to have an album that we didn't have to grade on a curve that like can stand on its own as a great late era Pearl Jam album. And like there was like a novelty to that, but like there's just as much of a novelty to the fact that you don't have to do that with Deftones. Like their new album, Private Music, is every bit as vital as Diamond Eyes and the self-titled album. You can debate whether you like it as much as those albums, but like this is still Deftones making completely relevant Deftones music and putting out songs that people go crazy for when they play them live, and it was just awesome to see that.
yeah, and you can prove it just by the crowd reaction and how everybody was screaming along already to a song that's only been out, I don't know, 5 or 6 weeks maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it was wildly different from my experience when I saw Pearl Jam on the Dark Matter tour. Like, I love Wreckage, but when they played Wreckage, my section was clearing out of people going to get drinks and going to the bathroom and stuff. And it was just like, oh man, like,
Which also
you
speaks to
know,
the Pearl Jam fan base versus the Deftones one, because this
yeah.
is probably a good moment to talk about that. When we were walking around the concourse before the show, number of the different age groups, you had people in their teens and 20s trying to be sexy in their like goth
Hmm.
outfits and everything. You had older folks who, like us, who were just, regular old folks. You had people,
Yep.
you had parents and kids. It was absolutely wild to have teenagers, 20 somethings, 30 somethings, 40 somethings, and probably some 50 somethings all there
Oh yeah.
for Deftones.
Yeah. Yeah. It's insane. I just can't think of another band that's like this, that people from such a wide age range love like equally. Like it's just such a unique thing.
So then they played Diamond Eyes and Tempest, fourth and fifth.
I was really impressed with Tempest.
Me
I
too.
thought Tempest, they really brought that live, which probably is my favorite song on Koi. I think it's a really great song, but hearing it live for the first time I'd seen it live, they played it with like 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 sort of like I don't know, like I guess just like a groove to it. Like it had like sort of a different type of energy to it that I just really like.
Yeah, and the visuals on the stage,
Yeah, yeah.
doing all these different things, their weird video screen visuals for some, and live shots of Chino and the band for other parts of
Hmm.
the show. It was perfect in a basketball arena. Just you could tell
Yeah.
they put a lot of thought into their stage setup, and it worked.
Yep. Yep. By the way, that reminds me too, like just talking about like the band themselves, like Chino has always been a high energy performer. He loves to stand on the front monitors, and that's kind of his thing. So he was great, and we'll maybe get to a little bit later, our feelings about how he sounded. But I just want to say, like, the one that was surprising to me, because the previous couple of times I've seen Deftones, Stephen Carpenter has just stood on the side of the stage and like never moved. And he was moving around in this one. He was going over by the drum riser, play with the bass player. Like I've talked about this a lot, but he just really seems to be in a good space and a good mindset with this band right now, which is just really nice to see.
Well, this is something you and I have talked about with Pearl Jam and other bands before, where the material, even, something that was angry or caustic early on in the band's career, when everybody arrives 30 years later and they're playing it live, every song comes off like a celebration of the material. It's lost a lot of its initial edge, per se, but the band just looked celebratory. Chino
Yes.
looked healthy and happy. Everybody just looked healthy and happy. I forget
Yep.
the name of the new bass player.
I did too. I need to learn it. But he was really good.
Yeah, I'll look it up. But yeah, just the whole thing. Sergio Vega was the old guy, right?
Correct. I don't know what this new guy's name is, but they also, maybe this will be the time to talk about this.
Sablan.
Okay, there we go. Is how you spell that? Sablan? All right.
He
I
previously
think Deftones. Sorry, go ahead. He what?
previously played with Marilyn Manson.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Okay. Deftones might have found their Josh Klinghoffer too. They had a extra guitarist and vocalist playing with them. I don't know who he is. Is he the one that plays in Stefan's place when he in Europe because Stefan doesn't travel to Europe?
I think it's this guy Sean Lopez. I think the guy who substitutes for Steph is Lance Jackman, but I think
Okay.
Lopez is this new guy who is, as you were saying, just unbelievable.
He unlocks an extra element that I don't think was there previously, especially in his vocals. He was doing a lot of the background screaming parts, interacting off of Chino's screaming parts, and the interlay of those two weaving through each other rather than, because sometimes it could be a little empty, like when you're used to on the album, how like a lot of times Chino will overlay two different screaming parts. So one will start in a half measure later, another one comes in, and then they're on top of each other. You can't replicate that live by yourself. And it was awesome to have somebody be able to do both parts. Like a great example of that is like My Own Summer, in the chorus, he's screaming the main part and then the secondary screaming part. Like Chino always had to like kind of try to do both, and you have to cut one short to get to the other part, and it's just not as powerful. It was awesome having that extra dynamic to the live set.
So Lopez was a founding member and guitarist for the band Far. Do you remember the post?
Oh, I do.
So that's a band that I discovered much later because I became a fan of One Line Drawing and Jonah Matranga, who was the lead singer. And yeah, so I mean, he's also a member of Crosses.
Oh, okay, that makes sense then.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
So anyway, where were we? We're on the set list.
Swerve City.
Swerve City is, at least to me, is one of those like just underrated live songs where you might not pick it out of a lineup and go, yeah, I really want to hear Swerve City, and then they play it and you're like,
yeah, it was good.
I'm happy I heard that.
Yeah, it was really good. They played it really, I thought they seemed like they played it really up tempo. Like it seemed faster than on the album, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, I thought that too.
And then we get to one of our two White Pony songs. So yeah, White Pony only getting two songs on this, what was it, 20 song set list, which is interesting. What's that?
Digital Bath.
Yeah, Digital Bath, which it was cool. It was a nice like energy break coming off of, Tempest and Swerve City. And, it was,
and by the way,
I don't have much to say about it, but
this is where I would have put in a Minerva.
Yes, that would have been great.
But then we would only had one from White Pony.
I know.
All right, Rocket Skates.
This is an interesting one to me. It's a song that a lot of people really love, but like it's actually not one of my favorite Deftones songs. I don't know why. I remember, I think this was the first single off of Koi, wasn't it?
I think so.
I feel like it was. And I sometimes have wondered if I like reacted to Koi the way I did at the time because of I felt. I wish I could better describe. I'm like trying to do these podcasts when you have a head cold and you're hopped up on meds. Like I can tell my brain is a little foggy, so I'm like struggling to come up with the right way to describe all these things. But because it's not a bad song, but like there was something about Rocket Skates that just seemed a little corny to me for Deftones. And like, because today I love Koi way more than I did at the time when it came out. And I've sometimes wonder if it was Rocket Skates that kind of started me in that direction. But I think you like this song a lot more than I do.
Oh yeah, I think it's really good. And it says it wasn't a single.
It wasn't?
It's hard for me to believe though, because I'm kind of with you. I vaguely remember
I swear that was the first song I heard off of it. What were the singles on it then?
It says Leathers, then Tempest, then Swerve City, then Romantic Dreams.
That's nuts.
Yeah, Wikipedia, man. It could be wrong.
I don't like. Now you're just throwing me for a complete loop.
I know.
I'm like dumbfounded by this. I swear this was like the first. Like I remember, I even like in my head remember like a video for it. That's what's crazy.
Yeah, I don't. It's
wow.
I know. It's messing with me too. So, but then we get to Sex Tape from Diamond Eyes.
Yeah, and predictably, an enormous roar from the crowd when this one.
This is where I feel a little bit out of touch. I mean, I love this song. I love this song, especially on that record. Is this where we pick up a new generation? Which is this like a? So what age group is this? Is this 30 somethings or 20 somethings?
This would be like late 20s at this point, probably. People who were in the late high school, early college when this song kind of blew up. And it blew up a little bit later. It wasn't like right away in the moment, but it was kind of tied into like the whole like shoegaze revival. And it kind of got like held up as like, this is kind of like shoegaze, but it's something different and unique. And so people found that exciting and sort of edgy coming out of the like traditional shoegaze movement. And this song is just enormous. Like this is arguably their biggest song right now. Like if you like polled like certainly anybody under the age of 30 about Deftones, if they were going to know any song, it would actually be Sex Tape.
It's number 3 on Spotify.
Number 3
after Change and My Own Summer.
Yep. So I mean, it just goes to show you. And like it's just funny because like this isn't the, while I have no problem with this song, I think it's good, I enjoyed hearing it live, this is not the Deftones that I love. Like this isn't, this is not what I'm there for. But there are plenty of fans who were. When after the show, Craig was using the restroom and I was waiting for him, and I was standing at a table and there was a group of like probably like college age kids, maybe even high school, I don't know, they were young. And the one guy was like, yeah, I don't know about the set list, but I mean, I got Sex Tape, I got Cherry Waves, so at least I'm good with that. And it was just like so funny because it's like, my brother, like they played Head Up, what are you talking about? Like not to bury the lead here, but like
they like the Deftones. They like Deftones that recalls The Cure.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So Sex Tape definitely delivered that, and the crowd loved it.
I was a little bit surprised they played Around the Fur, but I guess Abe Cunningham's got to play that drum part no matter what.
Just so freaking good, man. It was so good to hear that song.
Drum parts of all time.
Yep.
With the bass drum lead in.
Yeah. Ugh. So good. Then we get Head Up after that, and
shocked by.
I was so happy to hear this song live. I'm pretty sure it's the first time I've actually gotten to hear it live. I don't believe they've played it at the other shows I've been to. And the best part of it was, again, because of how on top of his game Chino is right now. It's the best I've ever heard him perform this song. Like I've listened to so many Deftones bootlegs. I have seen almost every live video of Head Up that there is on the internet. And he would a lot of times stumble his way through this song, and it could be a very rough listen. Like, because like the chorus, or I mean, excuse me, the verse is like a really like weirdly timed delivery and the way it's like playing off of that main riff. And if you're not on your game, you can get lost in the timing of that. And that's what would usually happen to Chino. He would sound lost, like he was singing a different song than what was being played almost. And this time, I cannot express enough how much they freaking nailed this song. Like it was everything I could have wanted. I think this song like made it this whole, I mean, there's so many great moments in this set, but just hearing a perfect performance of Head Up was just something I never would have expected.
No, I didn't expect it either. So then Entombed into A Hole in the Earth.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really have a lot to say about Entombed. I mean,
I don't really either.
It's kind of maybe one of the closer things to a deep cut we've got on this. Like, I mean, we keep mentioning Koi because Koi had how many? What do we have here? Tempest, Swerve City, Rocket Skates,
Around had
Entombed.
4, Diamond Eyes had 3, Koi had 3, Private Music had 3, Adrenaline 2, Saturday Night Wrist 2, White Pony 2, Ohms.
Wait, isn't Swerve City on Koi?
Yes. Entombed,
Isn't
Swerve City, and Tempest.
What album is Rocket Skates on?
Diamond Eyes.
Oh, wow. It was the single for Diamond Eyes. Holy shit, do I have that messed up?
And I didn't pick it up when you said it.
There's a wow.
Idiot.
This is embarrassing. Holy shit.
That's okay.
This is what happens when you record a podcast and you talk about music all the time. You get stupid things wrong.
We're sick, man. We're sick.
But at least I can feel happy that I was right that Rocket Skates was a single. And I didn't like it.
So yeah, no, it was off of Diamond Eyes. We just have to
amazing. Wow. Okay.
I think we got to give back our Deftones Wikipedia card.
I guess so. This is rough.
That's all right. All right. So Hole in the Earth was one of my favorites, by the way. It's one of the slower kind of anthemic songs, and I can't remember if it was one of the ones where Chino went to the back of the stage, but I loved
I think it was
sections when he picked up the guitar and he'd go to the back of the stage and pick up the guitar in the front of the stage, and like the band when he picks up that guitar and they've got 3 guitars, bass, and Frank Delgado, the band sounds so huge. It's so amazing. And that's, by the way, that's why I wanted to hear Minerva so badly, because he always plays.
Yeah, he definitely plays guitar on that.
But
but I love
Hole in the Earth was amazing.
Yeah, I love the whole vibe of Saturday Night Wrist. It's such a left turn for them. It's maybe their most unique sounding album out of their entire catalog, and I love everything about that album. And so yeah, getting to hear Hole in the Earth was incredible. And again, Chino absolutely nailed it. And that's a difficult song to sing. That is not an easy song to sing. Like, it's one of those ones I always try to belt out in my car, and I can't do it real well.
Then we get Infinite Source from the new one, which was
loved Infinite Source.
Live.
I wouldn't have been opposed to hearing a few more tracks off of Private Music on this set, if I'm gonna be honest. If there's a complaint I have, other than not getting anything off self-titled, it would actually be like Ecdysis would have been awesome to hear. Hell, the closing track, which the song title escapes me at the moment. Yep, Departing the Body. Yeah, would have loved to have seen that too. Sure, but
it would have been weird to have I Think About You All the Time, but I love that song, so I would have loved to hear it.
Yeah, that would have been great for one of the play that right after Sex Tape. That would have been great. But if we're gonna pick the songs that we had to get off of the new album, getting both Milk of the Madonna and Infinite Source was pretty great, because those are 2 of my 3 favorite songs on the album. And the whole song was great, but that heavy ass riff at the end of Infinite Source was so powerful. Yep, it was unbelievable.
By the way, this set list is a reason why we should have seen them twice on this tour, so that we could experience it the first time and then really analyze it the second time.
Yeah, that's true.
Podcast needs to make more money and get more connections so we can see these shows twice.
That's right. Then we can talk about it better and not get wrong songs off the wrong album.
I forgive us. So then Change in the House of Flies, which is fine.
I agree. I'm with you. I'm so with you on this. It's
It's
fine.
it's
They have to play it, I guess, you
it's
know.
it's their creep, and I don't want to be too cool for the room. I'm happy they played it, but like if they
Yep.
didn't play it, I'd be okay.
Yep. I am so there with you. Yep.
But I'm not going to be mad at them for playing it, you know?
Right. I to me it's a little bit like you mentioned creep to like it's a little bit like even flow. Like you know it's going to be there and it's fine. It's not bad, but like you've heard it. You
Yeah,
know what it is.
right. Genesis was the only thing they played from Ohms, and it
Yeah.
absolutely crushed.
It was so good. I loved that song on the album. It's one of the main reasons I was so excited about Ohms was this song. And so yeah, so it was
With that one, or no, they
Hmm?
finished Ohms. Which one? I can't.
No, they started with Ohms and end with Genesis. Nope, other way around. They start with Genesis and it ends with Ohms.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, but I think Ohms was the first single, so the first single was the last.
Correct, if I remember correctly. Although I'm doubting myself now, who knows? I clearly don't know anything about Deftones, so
Can't be trusted.
I'm never gonna forgive myself for that. I cannot believe I got that album
Yeah, Genesis
mixed up.
opened the album. Ohms finished it, which makes sense because the song name is Genesis.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
Milk of the Madonna closed out the main part of the set, and once
so
again,
good.
just new material in a prime place in the set list, and nobody was disappointed. I was like, this sounds so weird, and because they're older than we are and
Mhm.
more accomplished than we are, but I was proud of them. Like in that
Yes,
moment when they played that song and it went over like that, I was just proud of them.
absolutely. And I also really appreciate. Don't think that this was by any means intentional, but I have said Milk of the Madonna reminds me so much of Be Quiet and Drive. And like I love the fact they opened the main set with Be Quiet and Drive and they closed the main set with Milk of the Madonna. It's like the perfect beginning and end of the career journey and like all the feelings and emotions that go into that. It was so cool. I was really, really happy with that main set.
All right, and then the encore was 3 songs. They did Cherry Waves, Engine Number 9, and 7 Words.
Cherry Waves, freaking beautiful.
Gorgeous.
The visuals that they had on the stage with the lighting was just perfect. It was just gorgeous, just stunning how good Cherry Waves was. And that's a great song anyways, but it was just awesome.
And then, throwback, 9 and 7 Words. By the
I'll
way,
let you take engine number 9 first because man, I don't know how I'm gonna put this into words yet.
yeah, it was as electric, and I used the word caustic already, but it was as electric and caustic as I've ever seen them play it from back when I saw them around the Fur tour. I just couldn't have been more blown away with how authentic they were playing the song so many years later, which is really hard to do, even if you're the guy, if you're the guys.
Yeah. They really said like it makes no sense whatsoever that 30 years into their career, we saw them play and they play engine number 9 and it sounds as heavy, aggressive and alive as that song did. I cannot impart on you listeners enough how great they performed engine number 9 and seeing the buildup of that opening riff right as when the whole band comes in then and the crowd just lost their shit. Like the entire pit went crazy. It was going ballistic. It was as if like we were all the way back into 1995. Like it was wild
So
how
let's
great
talk
this
about that
that
for a
moment.
second. Deftones decided to have open pit, open floor for this tour where so many bands of their age bracket. I don't know if Nine Inch Nails was open pit a couple weeks prior, but
I don't know.
Tool doesn't do open pits anymore. A lot of bands don't try and even bring that energy to the crowd anymore. And the fact that Deftones did and people were crowd surfing and moshing was unbelievable to me.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I've been watching a lot of Turnstile live videos and you see the way that crowd was. I'm not going to say it was quite that, but like it was pretty nuts in a way that I have not seen a Deftones crowd go crazy in a very, 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 very long time. It was awesome to see.
And 7 Words was good.
Yeah,
Again,
what can you say about 7 words? Like this song is on such a pedestal for both of us that like it's hard to even like really like say anything in any kind of an unbiased neutral way, because this song means so much to me, and the beginning of my journey with this band that I'm still on to this day. And it's just such a fun album closer, and it was great.
And kudos to them for continuing to close with it. I don't know if they've ever taken a break from closing with it, but I know
Yeah,
the first time I ever saw them at Blossom Music Center opening for Pantera, they closed with it. And it just, for them to do it 30 years later is just something else.
it just leaves you walking out of the arena on such a high note, ending with that song. It's just the perfect way to end a Deftones set.
So yeah, all in, one of the best arena shows I've seen since Rage. It's the best one I've seen since Rage Against the Machine.
It's the best one I have seen since. No, I don't see as many as you do, to be fair, but it's the best one I've seen since Nine Inch Nails, the which was it, Lights in the Sky tour that I saw them on. That's still like peak arena show for me. But I'll tell you one thing though, like my seats were a lot better for this one than the Nine Inch Nails show.
Yeah, Andrew and I officially had the perfect old man seats. We were in the first row in front of the pit, so we were elevated by 2 or 3 feet so that we could see, and we didn't get moshed on. Although you did get coughed on.
I got coughed on a lot, but also this is the ultimate old man thing for me. It was just being able to sit down between the opener, between Idols and Deftones, and even during the encore break, I got to sit down and you know relax my back a little bit, let my legs loosen up.
I just want everybody to know that my knees are also 46 years old, and so
Yep.
they've seen some things, and they need a break every now and again. I'm an old man.
Yeah. I really struggle with standing for concerts anymore. I'm in a lot of pain usually. And it always sucks too, because it's like it always hits me like halfway through the main band that I'm there to see. And it's like, man, like I wasted all my good energy on the bands I wasn't as excited to see. So
Yeah, let alone if you and I had tried to be in the pit.
yeah. Yeah. But we're gonna have to think about this for Turnstile.
We are
How we're gonna handle this as old men going to see Turnstile.
standing way in the back, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't get stage dived on.
No.
I've had
I can't do it.
for that.
Yeah.
For those in the audience who don't know, I've had 2 discs replaced in my neck. So having a stage diver or somebody crowd walk across my head is not
It's a bad
the cards for me.
yeah.
All right. Last thing before we go, I can't possibly not talk about this record. This past week, Saturdays at Your Place released their new record. I think it's their second full length, their first since their EP. It's called These Things Happen. I absolutely love it. I'm actually going to let you go first, though.
Well, okay. Well, the funny thing about this one is, as you were telling me that I needed to listen to this album, to be fair, I was out of town over the weekend and I was pretty busy, so I wasn't like able to immediately get around to it. But as Craig's sitting there texting me like, man, you got to listen to this album. I don't know. There's something about this album. I don't know if it's just me, but I don't know if I'm just in the right mood. But like this album's really great. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking about. I'm like, I don't think I liked Saturdays at Your Place. I was like, I don't really remember listening to them. So like I had like no, for whatever reason, I couldn't remember. And so I told Craig, I said, I don't think I've ever really listened to them. And Craig was like, well, yes, you have, and you loved their EP, and you told me you were mad at me for not making you listen to it earlier. Like somehow I had completely memory hold this entire band, which is funny because usually these roles are reversed. And to give everybody a sneak behind the curtain of our dynamic, a lot of times it's me begging Craig to listen to something over and over again, and then Craig being like, well, I don't know if I even really know these guys. And I'm like, dude, we literally talked about it.
I'm usually the forgetful one, yeah.
Yeah, so it was fun to be on the other side of this one for once. But no, but I guess the feeling was the same as the first time, and we'll see if I remember it this time, but I was very glad you pushed me to listen to it. This is a really good album. It's fairly straightforward emo, I would say. But what's funny about it is like I've only listened to it twice so far, so I'm still very raw with it. But I'm not a big emo guy. I don't listen to a lot of emo, but the band that I do, if I'm going to reach for emo, is almost always Home Is Where. Like, that's my go-to. I love that band so much. They put out an album this year, and I haven't listened to that album in months. I mean, have you, by the way? Have you been keeping up with it?
Probably only listened to it 4 or 5 times since it came out, and probably not in over 2 months.
Yeah, and it's an album I really liked when I listened to it, but it just didn't stick with me. As I was listening to Saturdays, I found myself thinking, like, I think I like this more than Home Is Where even. And that's, for me, a pretty big landmark thing for me to feel more connected to an emo album than something Home Is Where put out in the same year. So, I'm not to the point yet that I could like sit there and break down individual songs and stuff. I'll let you kind of handle some of that. But for me, they really had me like right from the acoustic intro is so good. Like, and then like as it like turns into the actual song, like that right from the rip, they had me. It's a great opening track. And yeah, I don't know. Like, it's good energy, great songwriting, the melodies are there. The subject matter's really strong. Yeah, it's just a really great album.
Yeah, I'm going to call my shot, and I think maybe I'm getting a little bit over my skis. I'm not naming it number one record of the year, but I think this is my favorite emo record since Brave Faces Everyone by Spanish Love Songs. And I think it's in the realm, the stratosphere of Home Like No Place Is There by the Hotel Year. I think it's
Yeah.
good. And for me to put it up with those, like, that's second or third wave for me on the emo scale from, back in the old days when it was Mineral and Sunny Day Real Estate. That's a different era. But like this record has me. Like you talked about, the opening track Welcome, which is just a precursor to Cross My Heart. Then the singles that they released, Waste Away, which goes into What Am I Supposed to Do? Those songs sound so much better in the flow of the record, and I liked them even when they were released as singles. And then I'll skip the rest of them, but they finished this record perfectly. I Give In is an utter classic track, classic album ending track. Everybody who listens to this podcast knows how much you and I revere strong records that make you want to restart the record. I Give In is maybe as good as the closing track from their EP, which was also, it became such a set staple that they were kind of joking as they released singles that this was the killer of that song.
Mm-hmm.
They were kind of joking with that on Twitter. And I Give In is that damn good. And I think this record might be one of the best emo records of the last 10 years.
What's funny about that track is I was listening to it the first time while I was getting ready, and I was listening to it through my Echo Dot in my bathroom. Not necessarily the best like listening experience, that you'll have.
But if it's an Echo Dot.
But sometimes you get those shower acoustics though, and stuff can just sound good in there. But when that last track, so mind you, I'm in the shower. I don't have my phone with me. I can't look to see if this is the last track or not. But it was one of those things that as I'm listening and that song was playing, and I was just like, there is not a doubt in my mind this is the closing track. If this is not the closing track, they screwed this up, and I don't understand this band at all. Like, if they dared to put something else after it, it would have been criminal. So I knew I would have bet any amount of money as I was listening to it, this is the closing track. And sure enough, it was. So kudos to them for absolutely nailing that.
Yeah. They're from Michigan, Kalamazoo, I think. It's awesome. They're touring. They're one of those bands that you can see in small clubs for much less money than you and I paid to see Deftones. And actually that's as we transition away from that and close out the podcast, that's what I'm going to leave you with. I am going to see Greet Death on Monday at Musica in Akron for $10.
Nice. What a great venue for seeing small shows for a ridiculous price. I saw Dead Confederate there back in the day. That was a really great venue for seeing a band like that.
I
So
saw David Bazan there. I saw
yeah.
Kevin Devine, and we saw Kevin Devine and Now opened up.
Yep.
But yeah,
Not to be confused with there.
right.
Now.
$10 though in 2025, the year of our Lord.
Yeah. Great. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
All right. Well, I think that's it for us, man. You got anything else?
Yep. Nope. I'm going to go blow my nose and do all the other things. I'm sitting here in the dark because I look like crap, because I feel like crap, but we got to talk about Deftones, so that made me feel 5% better.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Everything we do, you can find at albumofrecord.com, on YouTube, on podcast player of your choice. Thanks so much for listening. We'll talk to you next time. It's been the Album of Record podcast.